I'm seeing that.
You mean in the content you're sharing?
Yeah.
No, I didn't see it.
All right, then that's good.
All right, and we're live.
I need to admit the other two guests, so let me contact them.
Want to so that were you able to contact Miss Chow?
Yeah, I'm contacting her. Can you see her in the waiting room?
What's her name again?
Zaf Chow.
Zaf Chow.
Zaf Chow. Yeah, I saw. I see him.
All right.
I just send me him.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
and then
please
we're
allow
just
her.
One.
And the other guest, Mr. Indika Vijay Surya, INDIKA.
He's yeah, got it.
INDIKA.
Yeah, I got it.
Cool. Please allow the guests and let's confirm. Because we are going to introduce the guests first. I mean, I will introduce them. Okay. Just a second. Let me open the introduction file. Just 1 second, please.
Are we ready?
Just a second. I'm opening the introduction of the guest. Okay, so for the guests, we have them here, and in the beginning, we are going to introduce the guests. So you can choose to say hi or by chat, or maybe you can open your microphone. That's okay for our guests. Okay, I'm ready.
Let's go.
Okay. So, Christina.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our event, which is Metaverse Workshop. And then, first of all, I want to welcome you all. Well, I want to welcome our distinguished speakers, fellow students, and probably we also have guests from other universities. So now I want to pass the time to Sweta.
Thank you, Christina. Hello, everyone. Good evening. By Hong Kong time, good evening. My name is Sweta, and I am the AR and VR lead at Google Developer Student Club. And we are very proud to invite the guest speakers from all around the world, from different time zones. So we have Mr. Indika Vijay Surya. Sir, you can say hi to our audience.
Hi, everyone. Hope you're having a lovely evening. Thank you very much for inviting me to this. Thank you.
So Mr. Indika Vijay Surya is currently the Group Chief Innovation Officer at Arimac and also AR/VR developer and instructor at Circuit Stream. So he is an experienced tech enthusiast, digital transformation expert, technical business analyst, software architect, and an engineer who has a passion in immersive technology, game development, programming, and design, a lot of talents. And he is very passionate team player and a researcher of technologies who can merge business requirements into outstanding technical solutions. We are glad to have you, sir. And our next guest is Miss Diana Orlinik. It's around 5 a.m. in Canada, and thank you very much for joining in this time.
Thank you very much. I am definitely very excited to be here. Thank you so much. I am very glad to come and share a little bit about how the metaverse is being built here and all the stuff that we do. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So Ms. Diana Orlinik is a Canadian engineer, speaker, and founder of M4 Method, which is a XR creative building agency. So Ms. Diana has more than 15 years of experience in engineering and is currently mentoring for 2 Canadian organizations, which is Northforge and Futurepreneur Canada, where she guides early stage entrepreneurs in the areas of engineering applications and technology adoptions. So Ms. Diana has been a guest in various podcasts and events, delivering and sharing her personal knowledge and experience in the areas of XR, as well as in the fields of marketing and advertising, which can be applicable for, which can be used with XR design. And we are eager to hear from Ms. Diana her techniques for using XR in business and how it shifts the business. Our next guest is Mr. Onyinye Enioha. Sir, would you like to say hello to our audience?
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me at this event. I'm looking forward to interacting with everyone and sharing some insights. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So Mr. Onyinye is a technologist whose interests revolve in transforming company requirements to consumable digital products. And he is currently the founder and CEO of Total View Media, which is an award-winning startup based in Lagos, Nigeria. And this startup specializes in providing immersive 360-degree virtual reality tours and interactive digital solutions for business all over the world. Currently, he also works with the World Bank Group as interactive media consultant, and he collaborates with a diverse team at the World Bank in building VR projects over 100 countries. So before joining the World Bank Group, he also served as a pre-sales technology consultant for HP in Central Africa. And for fun, Mr. Onyinye loves visiting new places and eating good food. We welcome you again, sir. Our next guest is Ms. Zaf Chow. Ma'am, would you like to say hi?
Hello, everyone. This is Saf. Thank you very much for having me today, and I can't wait to share my insight of Metaverse and interact with you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. So Ms. Zaf is the Director of Digital Strategy and Partnerships at Animoca Brands, and she spearheads Animoca Brands' efforts in developing the play-to-earn, that is P2E field, promoting mass adoption of NFTs and metaverses, and facilitating the strategic partners' transition to Web3, which built upon the core concepts of decentralization, openness, and greatness, and a greater user utility. So prior to this role, she had found her own startup, which is a fintech solution that facilitates mobile food ordering. Ms. Zaf was also the previous awardee of Innovation and Change-Making Entrepreneurship by Invest HK. She has a vast experience in various industries, from business innovation in retail to startup in mobile food ordering, and from fintech to blockchain gaming. That is quite interesting, and we look forward to have your insights in this field. Passing the time to Solal for introduction, like what exactly is a metaverse.
Hello, everyone. Can you switch to the next slide? Yes, working. Or can I do it directly? No. So Yeah, I'll be doing a quick introduction on what is a metaverse. So I'm guessing most of you have somewhat of an idea of the rough concept of it, because we've heard a lot about it in the past few months. But because it's also pretty new for most of us, I wanted to level the playing field, give all of you a bit of an insight, a bit of an explanation on the basis of what is a metaverse. And we'll go more into details afterwards when we have the panel answering some of our questions, and we'll have a discussions with the participants here in which you'll be able to participate and give your own input on what you believe in. So pay attention. All this information is going to come in useful in just a bit. So to start, yes, you've heard the announcement from Facebook, I'm going to guess, that Facebook was rebranding as Meta. Now, Facebook, it's a social company. We know it from the website, but they also are the owners of Instagram, WhatsApp, and Oculus. Oculus is a VR and AR company, for those who don't know. And that makes a lot of sense for them to rebrand as Meta, because the whole idea of metaverses, as we're seeing them coming right now, is a virtual social space in which people interact. Now, this also means that this new generation comes with the use of AR and VR to access this, so that we're not limited to our 2D screens anymore. And that's kind of the big innovation there that we're going for. Next slide. Now, yeah, metaverse is a pretty recent hype, but it's not something that's exactly new. At least the term was created back in 1992 in the novel Snow Crash. And we've seen concepts of what metaverse could be, or what some people consider metaverse, in the form of video games. Second Life is a pretty good example of it, where they have this online virtual realm where people interact. They have ownership of avatars, they have ownership of lands. There is a real economy there. And despite being almost 20 years old, this game still has a wide active user base, which really speaks to the concept of metaverses and how like a lot of people are interested into this. Now, the reason why metaverses are coming back into the mainstream interest is not only because of the change of Facebook as Meta, but because of a movement, an innovation that some people call the Web 3.0. It's something that came from the realm of cryptocurrencies and cryptography. So for those of you who, I think you have a bit of an idea of what cryptocurrencies are. Those are decentralized currencies online that no government has control of. And there's also NFTs, which are the application of cryptography techniques to visuals, so that there is an ownership of digital goods online. And now those technologies could allow for a new generation of the internet, where things are not necessarily centralized around big social media platforms, but have a lot of cooperation and everything. And so there's this idea of Web 3.0, this new generation of the web that a lot of people are rooting for. Now, Metaverse is not necessarily part of Web 3.0, but because it's also part of this new way to envision interacting online, it also came with the same wave of hype, with the implementation of AR and VR for people to be able to access those digital universes. And so that's roughly, yeah, the big idea of what the metaverse is. Now we'll be having the panel talk. I'll pass the time back to Sweta.
Thank you, Solal. So we are going to have a panel discussion now. So we have received many questions from the audiences, and we have tried to divide them into different categories. So the questions will be asked directly or indirectly. And but if still you feel that your question is not asked in the panel, then you may write in the chat box during the question answer session. So starting the panel discussions with our expert guests, So now we ask the first question to Ms. Diana. So Ms. Diana, in what ways does your company use XR to influence the branding and marketing of the clients, and how are your clients motivated for a new way of marketing, and how you think this will be included in the metaverse?
Yeah, thank you so much, first of all, for that very nice introduction that you did. It's pretty concise, and I think that gives us a general idea about what the metaverse could be. I believe, first of all, that the metaverse is not necessarily a place where we can go and gather, but also more of like a time, like a general framework when these immersive and digital worlds become the primary way where people work and live. So that means maybe it's being built yet, it's not totally like a place where we can go, although sometimes it seems like we can go to one or the other virtual world, but they are right now being kind of separated. So we are missing right now the interoperability between them, which is what it's going to make the real metaverse. So right now we use extended reality, or this concept, not only to create awareness of what we do, but also to help others to understand how this is being created. So in terms of that interoperability, how this is being done right now. And particular ways that we do this is sharing, for example, when we are working with our clients. Right now, we did a partnership with a company that is called Spatial. I don't know if some of you might know about this platform, which is focused more in the NFTs, in the culture type of market or niche. And we share the stuff that we do, we share our work, and because of that partnership is that we have ways or opportunities to educate, because we do events there in how this is being done, or how people can create their own models and share their work, artists, all of this. So this is one particular way that we use. And I think that this is one that is good for students when they are getting started. You can go to read, you can go to YouTube and learn about this, but the best way, of course, is the practice. So joining the platforms, gathering with people, networking, and making connections with people who is in the world is going to give you a lot of good insight and create many opportunities for you, because the people that you meet there is actually people who understand already or is interested about this.
Oh, yeah.
This is a great opportunity. So those are ways that we are using right now, particular ways, events and educational opportunities.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Diana. I think maybe if some of us wants to hold some marketing or wants to do branding, maybe they can use these techniques already. Thank you. So our next question to Mr. Orlinik. So it is very unique how XR can be useful in the World Bank, because XR among the audience is mostly popular as games. So so how is it that you are using it in the World Bank?
All right, thank you. This is a question that we get all the time. We are a finance company, right? How do we use VR, XR, and all these tools? And really, that's the beauty of XR, right? The fact that we can apply these tools to a broad range of industries. And for the World Bank, we think beyond games. We use XR as a tool for policy design. As we know, or for those of us who don't know, the World Bank works in every area of development. We work with countries, especially the poor countries, to give loans and grants to foster development. And so the World Bank uses VR, XR to take their stakeholders into certain areas that need help. For example, in the past, we have developed VR experiences that were able to teleport stakeholders into a poor community, for them to understand this area, and the impact of VR is quite huge compared to traditional media, because you can immerse yourself into a space, and that stirs up a certain emotion in you to act. So the World Bank uses XR tools, technologies for fostering action, positive action, right, between governments, policymakers, decision makers, as the case may be. Recently, we launched an AR experience for the Sahel. The Sahel is a desert, that's being affected by the climate change. Now, we're trying to encourage people to plant a tree in the Sahel, and we developed an AR, let's say, game or whatever you may want to call it, to encourage people to donate to the Sahel, right, or to, steer their hearts and minds towards that area. And we also use XR for data visualization when it comes to showing numbers or statistics. Yeah, we use it to show people, the impact of certain things, the certain, what I call it, disasters or whatever you want to show. So we use data visualization to show those graphs, and people can relate and understand it better.
As a tool of empathy.
Yes. Okay. So in summary, I would say it's for education, for knowledge sharing, for grants, and for public enlightenment.
That's interesting, because it is hard to imagine how to use XR in finance, but these are some interesting ways we discover. Thank you. The next question is to Mr. Indika. So how is your company doing or promoting XR, and what are the things they are doing in XR? And as you are an XR developer and instructor, so how do you think the students here can begin a career in it, and the professionals who may be wanting to enter the space can adapt to it?
Well, thank you very much, Sweta. I think I have multiple questions to answer at the same time. Speaking about the things that I've done, that the current company that I work in terms of XR, obviously we started off with marketing, right? Because right now I'm situated in Sri Lanka. My company is situated in Sri Lanka. So to this region, XR was a really new thing. Even right now, there's a very tiny percentage of the Sri Lankans have been using XR, right? Not much. So this is very easier for FMCG companies to get attraction of the of people, of customers to for their marketing activations. So our company has a separate arm, separate studio who's working with different clients, creating different marketing activations. And XR, like VR and AR applications, are some of the things that we have done. So speaking of clients like Coca-Cola, Nestle here in Sri Lanka, we've done a lot of marketing campaigns. So moving further from marketing campaigns, we were looking at various other options like education, training, and preventive maintenance in XR, and also visualization. So when it comes to visualization, XR can be used massively rather than just looking at a computer screen. Now, one of the examples that we've been working is Planograms. If you have heard of Planograms, that is the theory of how you place objects in retail stores, right? Like for example, when it comes to the fashion industry, right? Placing of the clothes in a showroom is really important, and how you should place them, that is very important. So then, so there are feeds that are known as planograms, where the placing is visualized prior to actually placing them in the shops, right? So those things are they seem like very small, but when it comes to the actual numbers, right? When you look at the numbers, placing an object is actually very crucial, right? So in these cases, we tend to convert these applications into XR, which makes it very easier and very immersive for the people who are working in this field to actually visualize them, right? And when it comes to the metaverse, I'd like to talk about metaverse maybe in another section. As an XR dev and an instructor, for somebody to start a career in XR, I guess it depends on what your expertise and what your competency is, right? For when it comes to XR, it's not just about creating something, some sort of a game or something in XR. It's not just that, right? You can go to the deeper level and you can go to the levels of an actual hardware implementation, right? It's not just the hardware, but hardware plus some deep learning algorithms to identify the context around you. It's context awareness, right? That involves a lot of machine learning and artificial intelligence. Plus, if you go to the top side, there is prototyping stage, right? You as a designer, how you prototype various XR applications for the everyday customers and how you can make this easier, right? Basically system design. And then of course, system development, right? You get what the designers have suggested and you see how to develop this and how to get this up and running. So for somebody to start a career, as I said before, you choose your competency, and based on your competency, you think what sort of a field that I would like to work in terms of the XR field. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was a very, I think, even though the audience are coming from different background, I think it is a very good point to realize the core competency and then move forward. Yeah, and visualization, I agree that XR can be very powerful in visualization and can give a very huge impact. Thank you, sir. So the next question is to Ms. Zaf. So Ms. Zaf, Animoca brands have been quite active in the discussion of metaverse, especially in Hong Kong. So because Hong Kong is a finance hub, so how do you think Animoca brands is popularizing the concept of metaverse in Hong Kong? And do you see yourself as a dominant player here?
Thank you very much for the question. So, it's a really interesting one because, we're a finance hub. And because of this, is kind of our weakness because people tend to just be speculative, and they tend to notice some really high price of NFT, and maybe they're aware of NFT because of this, and it's kind of like limiting their creativity. Like a lot of people in Hong Kong, they just want to get into NFT projects, and without looking into what exactly the NFT or the metaverse represent, they tend to just look for short-term profits. And this is kind of a really bad thing about Hong Kong people. And a lot of people don't really know about Animoca Brands is actually a Hong Kong company. We're based here and we're actively hiring. So, any of you with whatever background, we are looking forward to having you to join us. We do need a lot of people to develop this space because we still need, we're still at a really early stage of development of metaverse and NFT strategy in general. So, anyone with any background are welcome. Just that be creative, and also because we don't really have a geographic focus. We don't really focus as in Hong Kong market, what do we do here? Because in metaverse, there's no physical boundaries, right? So we don't have project that was specifically focused in Hong Kong. So I think it's a really good place for you to get to a global vision and something you want to do in the metaverse is totally welcome here. And I think for now, finance in metaverse, we have DeFi and some other creative stuff coming up, like DAO structure and stuff, but we're still at a really early stage. And I think regulation and some policy would come into place later. Right now, I think a lot of regulator, they still don't have any idea of how to regulate this space. So I think we're still at a baby stage of the development, and there will be huge potential out there for all the other guests mentioned about extend reality and all the other technology integration, make it more immersive experience, and that would be unlocking a huge potential for metaverse in the future.
Thank you very much. And even though it is at an early stage, but it seems to be but still Animoca brand seems to be doing well. And I think that in Hong Kong, the whole picture is going to change soon. So thanks for taking the initiative to Animoca brands. And the next question is for everyone, for all the guests. So since all of you had begun your journey in careers which was not related to metaverse, so at what point did you realize that that the metaverse may become a huge thing in the future, and how did you transition your career?
Maybe I can answer first. Okay, so I'll go. My background has nothing to do with metaverse. I think none of us has. So I saw the point that NFT can be applicable in game, and it really is a game changer, because I was working in fintech before this, and I was always thinking that should be a way to do some revolutionary change for finance system. But then I think DeFi is a little bit difficult in a system like Hong Kong. So when I saw NFT being applicable in GameFi, in the play to earn space, I thought this is a chance, and this is gonna be the game changer. And from GameFi, I can see that like slowly it can be moved to DeFi and some other space. So for me, like NFT being applicable in games is a game changer.
All right. There seemed to be an issue. Sweta's connection.
I'm sorry,
However,
I'm back. I'm back.
perfect.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Could we reshare the screen, Solal?
I don't have control of it. So.
Okay. Host may let me to reshare the screen. But anyway, since it's a panel discussion, we don't need a slideshow for now. So we will continue with that. And Solal, please let me share the screen. But still, the show must go on, even though there is technical difficulties. And I think, Ms. Zaf, you have answered. Thank you. Now for the other guests, Mr. Indika Onyinye and Ms. Diana, would you just like to briefly say how did you transition your career into this field?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that I can go for, oh, you go ahead.
Okay, well, for me, I had a background in computer science for my first degree. So the way I transitioned was really after I finished school, I got a call from one of my professors, who asked me if I knew someone who could create VR experience of the university where I finished from. And I didn't have any idea of what that meant, because in Nigeria, some of these concepts are still new. So I told her that, I'm going to do some research and find out what it takes to build that. And I went online, went to YouTube, took some courses, and I figured that this is something that I might be interested in doing. So I jumped on it and told her that I could possibly do something, right? Creating a virtual tour of the university involving the use of 360 cameras. From there, that led to me creating my business, Total View Media, and setting up a team. And from there, we've been growing and exploring different opportunities. And for any student here that wants to do anything, I think now is the best time to lay your hands on whatever you can to learn, take risks, try different things, just explore, like a child who just wants to try different things and is not afraid to risk things. I think now is the best time for you to also try out different things and find out what your interests are.
Yeah. True. Thank you. So it seemed like an accidental or maybe an experiment, not accidental, but rather an experiment that, oh, it's interesting, so I should try that. Thank you. Miss Diana, what about you? From an engineer to now a designer,
Yeah, I think that because we are in engineering, it comes across as more natural to try to be close to technology, right?
Yeah.
And to embrace it. Like, so then it started from there, from my background in engineering. And also because at the time that we started to realize in around 2019, when Spark AR, for example, one of these platforms for augmented reality, allow businesses also to start showcasing their brands and what was possible for them. Then it became, a curiosity for people. I've been building normal mobile apps, and one of the clients many years ago asked me, how can we use this type of technology, augmented reality? So then it led me to start looking for options and to explore what would be the next iteration. And when the Oculus 2 came to the market, then we knew that was the best moment to start getting more prepared into extended reality and looking for further education, which I have been doing it through Circuit Stream and through my own experience by meeting people that is in the area, learning from them, joining panels and all of this from experts that have been building virtual reality apps and augmented reality apps from many, many, many years ago. So that is how it has been my path, but definitely partnerships and networking helps a lot, as I mentioned, more than, the books, because it's real experience and they understand specifically what are the real issues that we are having right now. And also, experimentation with platforms, for example, like Spark AR, which many young people are using it right now, or Snap the Lens Studio platform for this creation of opportunities for showcasing businesses or marketing, etc. So that's a good entry point, I think, for students, I believe.
Wow, that's interesting. So it's like you were in engineering, and because being an engineer connected to technology, so you just went with the flow with all the technological advancements that came in, and later realized the potential after networking with people. Wow, that's great. Thank you. It's a bit tricky to network right now in pandemic, but I hope that online channels will help. So thank you, Ms. Diana. And Mr. Indika, so how about you? I see, because from your LinkedIn, I saw that you were for a long time in XR, but still, from being a developer to being specifically AR developer, how?
Yeah, so just like everybody else, I also, I'm also, I also did my bachelor's in engineering and I majored in computer science. But even before that, I was so much enthusiastic by the computer science. So I was doing programming, I was doing visuals, basic, Pascal programming since I was a child. But my passion was not mainly towards the architecture layer, but mainly towards the presentation layer of how to present something for the end user. So I've been working with a lot of front-end development tools when I was young. So right in between a hackathon that was held, I think it was by Google, I'm not sure. But I think around 2013 or 2014, I was able to, I was able to put my phone in a Google Cardboard and visualize how, visualize how 360 videos look like, and I was like blown away. And then at that moment, I realized, I want to pursue this. I want to, do something on this. So that's why I joined a startup company back then in 2014, which is known as Arimac. So it was about 10 to 15 people back then. Right now we have about 300 people, but back then it was just 15 people, and it was just a very small room, and we were doing various things, like fun things. And so we've been like, I think it's us who brought the first Oculus development kit to Sri Lanka to do some development. As I said before, we started off with marketing campaigns. So we were able to connect with clients and we were able to showcase our solutions. in XR and how we can, get people to engage with these new fields. So then, of course, we, as I said, we moved into the industrial applications in AR and VR. And right now, we've been working with some big companies in Dubai as well, in order to, in order to convert their existing solutions to XR. So it's really good. And at the same time, I joined Circuit Stream as well, which is a really good platform for anybody to get started in XR development, mainly on the design side as well as the presentation side, not the hardware level as I explained before. But anybody who want to start a career and they want to start learn. I guess, Circuit Stream would be a really good community, not just because of their courses, but also, how the community works. Maybe Diana also can vouch. We have a really good community in Circuit Stream. So, yeah.
Thank you. I would also like to share that I learned AR Foundation by following the tutorials from Circuit Stream as well. So yeah, I would recommend my peers here to get started with Circuit Stream from the free workshops. And maybe one day, if you start to work, then maybe you can purchase courses. But the free workshops have helped me, so thank you. And what I realized from your answer is that you started off by taking part in competition, and your company taking the initiative to try new technologies and introduce it to your own nation. That's how it can be enhanced. That's interesting. Thank you. Although most of our guests have answered how to about career advice, but still, I would still like to ask if any one of you would like to give a crucial career advice for the students here who want to get started in this, the beginners especially. Any crucial career advice, apart from what all you have spoken until now?
I think I'd like to answer that question. My suggestion is to start working on your own portfolio. It doesn't need to be the full-fledged game, or it doesn't need to be this whole metaverse thing, but start small and start working on your portfolio. So even after your graduation, what most of these companies who are very much into metaverse, what they look is your portfolio and what you have done and what your passion is towards. So you cannot just explain your passion in words. My suggestion is the only way to explain your passion towards XR field is on your portfolio. The tools like Reddit, LinkedIn, and maybe YouTube, Facebook, and all of these social media platforms are really good places for your portfolio. It doesn't need to be your own space. It doesn't need to be your own website. Not really. Like, anyone who is willing to recruit you will be looking at your LinkedIn profiles, right? So make sure that you keep a very good good portfolio. As an example, right? Since I'm the innovation officer of Arimac, I've recruited people directly from LinkedIn without even having their degrees, right? Because I've seen people who who kind of express their passion towards technology by, there can be a person who is cloning a similar application, but that isn't that, it doesn't need to be innovative. Your solution doesn't need to be innovative, right? It is because you spend time to learn about it and you spend time to implement the same solution. So that means you have an idea about how that works, right? So that is my suggestion. Start working on your portfolio. If you want to increase the, if you want to increase the size of your portfolio, obviously you have to learn, right? So you have to learn, you have to follow, not the courses, you have to read documentations, you have to maybe, just like you have to follow all these free workshops. So that is how you learn. So, learn every day, create your portfolio, and that's going to be a real gem for your career.
Thank you very much. I think we have
Maybe
got
I can,
very...
sorry, maybe I can add one thing here. I totally agree with that. We don't really care about what degree you have and what discipline you're from, because I've been like interviewing people and I try to hire people so badly. But one thing I saw in the candidates that like a lot of them are lacking of the knowledge in the space. So do join a lot of like communities out there and try to understand what the like community actually wants, because at the end of the day, we're still providing service or product to our community. And I think in Web3 space, the interaction with the users or the community is totally different from Web2. It's more interactive. So join the Web3 communities and try to understand more of like how the interaction moves, and that would be really helpful. And maybe like try to create some of the like some of the portfolio as Inika mentioned earlier. So that would be useful as well, because everything is so new in this metaverse space and we don't really have like past experience that we can reference to. So what do you do in your spare time make a huge difference?
Thank you. So we have got the updates that I think our audience is now aware how to update their profiles, their portfolio, and to constantly keep learning and join communities in order to enhance knowledge and to use spare time properly in order to learn and get into the field. So thank you very much for these useful advice. The next question is a question of concern that that although we have the metaverse here, but still there are many ethical concerns being brought up, like violence in the metaverse and of different sorts. So if one of you would like to speak, how should we be responsible users in the metaverse? And if one of us becomes a developers tomorrow, so what we should be careful about?
Thank you. Maybe I can go first.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Okay, I think that that's a very, very interesting topic, and that's why I wanted to jump here, because speaking from the design side, I really believe that when we are designing, which at this point is also something that is touched pretty much by the developers, this area, we have to be very aware of when, for example, in gaming, when gaming is, like the platforms are being designed, there are many considerations that are right now that developers take into account to make the game engaging, to make the game, like addictive, let's say. The World Health Organization has already pretty much determined one of the mental health issues is called gaming disorder, like when somebody is addicted to games. And this is an interesting point because we are all responsible to how we design experiences, apps, productivity apps, etc., and games in a way that is responsible. So at what time is the limit? What is the limit for determining how we manage the expectation of the user, or even the psychological triggers of the user? So that one is a concern that is right now out there on how we are going to create special provisions, special regulations. So just that not everybody is going to take advantage of, or maybe triggers that we have psychologically. And the other one is the situation with advertisement, because at this point, as we can see with platforms like Meta, or Facebook, Instagram, etc., all of these platforms are pretty much driven by advertisement. So because we have already had this experience, we can expect that it might happen the same, and we need to be able to create policies or regulations around this so people is also not taken advantage of. So these are two situations that are of concern right now. I like to discuss this because in terms of design, designers play a very, very important role at how to use these psychological techniques that are used. So with a framework that is that considers the human in all the senses. It's not just what we know that the human is going to be comfortable with when it interacts with the user interfaces and all of this, but also how as a human we need to be respected and taken care of. So those are the two main issues that I see right now.
Yes, I understand completely. Thank you. Any other guest would like to give inputs on this?
Yeah, I'll like to add my input as well. I second what Diana has said as well. There has to be regulations. Plus, what we need to do is we need to understand what actual metaverse is, right? So people can explain the metaverse and people can describe the metaverse in different ways. My idea is that the metaverse is still a term, right? Yeah. So there are certain applications that people can access. So it's not something like the internet. It's something like a presentation layer that is running on top of the internet, right? So metaverse, as I see, is a multiplayer environment, a multiplayer, multi-user experience that can be in VR, virtual reality, right? So when it comes to multiplayer experiences, like not just the metaverse, we've been ever since the multiplayer and multi-user experiences started off, there has been a lot of issues with with malicious usage, right? Hacking, right? Even if you play a game, right, you have to, as a developer, you have to spend more than 50% of your resources foolproofing this application, right? So there are, we are living in such a world because we cannot expect everybody to be perfect. So everybody is not perfect. So we need to see how such sort of regulations work in the multiplayer world. And if the metaverse is, it is supposed to be something that people will be using day to day, there has to be regulations that does not just block your account from the from the application, but also have actual real punishments, right? So that is my idea. So of course there are certain certain actions that are taken by companies like Facebook. I've seen that their Horizon World, if you join Horizon World and you have this personal space where you can block somebody out immediately, right? So those things have been added, but a couple of years back, those things were not there. And we've seen a lot of cyberbullying happening in metaverse as well. So these things has to be regulated. Plus, these applications should be decentralized. They should not be, centralized on just one monopoly or one company. So that is why we need to get other companies to get into this field to decentralize this concept called metaverse.
Thank you, Mr. Indica. So from your answers, it is evident that there are majorly two factors. First is psychological aspect, because metaverse is kind of a multi-user environment and psychological aspect needs to be taken care of. The second one is designing the policies and the application in such a way that people respect each other and also have policies which actually punish people and have stricter regulations. What I noticed from Mr. Indica's answer, that what he defined as metaverse, which brings me to the next question. So some of the users had a question that what is the difference between a metaverse and a multiplayer MMORPG game? And are we actually ready for the metaverse, or is it a rushed concept that people are just having the fear of missing out and they are just jumping into, and it is a half-baked concept? So what are the elements in the metaverse, and how is it different from other social media channels or multiplayer games?
I think that at this point, the difference is that we have different platforms. We have different virtual worlds, we have different apps, etc. And there is not the fact of, all allowing access from one to the other one. So it seems segmented right now what we have. I think that we don't have a real metaverse yet. I think that this is something that is in the making. And the interoperability is going to be the main aspect for this to become real and for people to access easy and interact in a daily basis for work or for life or for entertainment. And we don't see that, yet. But there are still a lot of potential. I think that many companies, big companies, are working right now towards that, like to bring their commerce, for example, e-commerce aspect to these virtual experiences. And this is what, along with the right devices that the massive consumption would need in order to access, is what is going to lead to what it's going to be the creation of the actual sort of like metaverse. In a last interview that Mark Zuckerberg delivered, he was speaking about this between 5 to 10 years in the future. We of course don't know. It depends on how all the shareholders that are working in the space and how quickly the devices are being made, and also how quickly the infrastructure combined with artificial intelligence, IoT, and all of these aspects allow for this interoperability to be real. So those are one of the main considerations for the metaverse to be like, and the difference between different platforms to what is really the metaverse.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, just to write on what Diana said, interoperability is one of the key elements that would make the metaverse, what it should look like. For now, we're just having different companies building their own concept of what the metaverse should look like, right? But, just like we have the internet, you can move files from application to application, from WhatsApp to Gmail. These are all different applications running on the internet. So one crucial element would be for these different sub-metaverses, right, to interact with themselves for communication, for whatever the purpose would be. That will determine how ready the metaverse would be.
And one more key differentiation is the true ownership of assets. So, I mean, the ownership thing is the key to Metaverse or any Web3 application. So, I mean, having interoperability is one thing, but I mean, underlying layer is that you have to own that asset. And that is, I mean, later on we can transfer or interoperable in other Metaverse, right? And the true ownership will actually empower people to create something on the Metaverse. So we emphasize a lot on the openness of Metaverse and how people can co-create something there, so they can actually create experience inside a metaverse for their own audience. And by building this metaverse together, they can actually be benefit as well because they own part of the assets, right? And I think this is the key differentiation and how Web3 would be so powerful, because everyone in the community can be benefit from it.
Thank you, Ms. Saf. So from all the answers, it looks like a multi-user environment, but there are so many complex aspects to it, which gives it a specialty named as Metaverse. It was quite informative, and I think that this is the end of our panel discussion. From these panel discussions, we have got to know a list of these 6 key points mentioned in the PPT. And if somebody feels that their question is not answered, they may ask in the chats, and one of our panelists may take the time to answer them. If it's completely your choice. So because we are running out of time, so we will only have we will only have the Q&A on the Zoom chat, and the panelists may try to answer by typing. And maybe after 1 or 2 minutes, we will move into our debate. So thank you again to the panelists for taking out the time to join us. And you may remain in the audience debate and may choose to take part and put forward your points. And there were very useful points we got from the panel discussion, from the point of how you have started your careers, what career advice would you give, from how companies are adapting the situation in the in your own spaces to ethical issues, and what exactly is the metaverse. So thank you. If anyone has any question, they may type in the chats, and one of our expert guests may choose to answer that question. After 1 or 2 minutes, we are going to start the debate. So I pass the time to Sulal.
All right. Can you show the next slide? So we'll be having a bit of a discussion with everyone. And so in terms of we don't have a lot of time, so we'll be only doing a few questions. Can you show the next slide, Sola, please?
Yeah. Just a second.
Well, in a second, you'll see there is a QR code for you to answer a Google survey. There is 8 questions available for you, and vote for which top 3 you want to see answered. Whichever one we have that has the most number of people that want to discuss it by the end of the break, that's the question we'll be discussing with everyone. So go for it, cast your votes so that the question that interests you the most has more chances to be answered. Let's see. All right, I'm having some answers coming in already. Yeah, and that's what I mentioned for the panelists. If there's any of the answers or the interactions with the students that you think are interesting, you are free to come in and voice out a bit, add a bit of information to that, because while we all got some very good information up until now, we're all kind of beginners in the field and in the knowledge of metaverse. Right, getting some answers. And for the people who want to interact and participate in the discussion, I'll invite you to raise your hand. You can see it at the bottom of your window. You have an option under reactions like this, and we'll be picking out people. If you raise your hand, that means you're willing to come and voice out your opinion in front of everyone. We strongly encourage you to participate in these kind of things. Otherwise, if you're feeling a bit shy and you don't want to do it, that's okay. You can just put it in the chat, but we'll give priority to people who want to voice it out. All right, getting some answers. I'll be closing the form in 30 seconds.
30, 29, 28.
All right. Okay, and closing the answers. So let's see. The question that got the most votes, so we'll start with this one. Is which company will dominate the metaverse, and does it already exist? So we've seen that there is multiple options in terms of what the future of metaverses look like. A lot of us are hoping for something that is truly interactive, with a lot of different companies being able to coexist. But there's also a chance, and to some extent quite likeliness, that one company will have more of a foothold on the metaverses than most of the others. Like right now we have Google, who is responsible for 70% of browsers that people use completely. And the follow-up.
Would you copy paste the most common question of debate?
Yeah, I will. And so yeah, and there's also the question of whether or not we'll have the company that's going to do this already exists. When the internet started, a lot of the very first company that came in weren't the companies that we know today. So who knows, maybe Facebook won't be the one. I see there's already Matthew that wants to talk. Do you want to?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, hi, I'm Matthew. I'm from the GDSC club. I just want to ask the experts here, because I'm a computer science student, and I have an EIE minor, so I kind of want to know software and hardware. Now, do you think the network infrastructure is ready for the metaverse in these few years? From a technical point of view, when we talk about metaverse platforms, we're talking about thousands and thousands of users interacting with cloud servers, constantly sending and receiving data packets with the device. But 5G is still not widely adopted. We still have a lot of legacy network systems to retire around the world. And oftentimes we see cloud servers like Akamai, Facebook often go down. So don't you think that the network infrastructure nowadays isn't ready to deploy metaverse fully in these few years? Would that be a challenge for you?
Yeah, maybe I'd like to answer that question. That's a really good one. I also kind of second your opinion as well, because right now, even even for some countries, some of those countries are not even adapted to 3G. Some of those countries in the world. So we cannot make sure that the infrastructure is completely ready for the whole world, but in some areas of the world, of course, there is, right? It's not just that. What Metaverse gives you is the ability to connect to a virtual world in different parts of the world. But unfortunately, right now, I cannot say that the whole world is still ready when it comes to network infrastructure. Even for us now, I'm living in Sri Lanka, and I've been in a lot of troubles trying to connect to some of these virtual platforms, right? Because in order to connect to this virtual platform, how these platforms are architectured is that you have to download all of these 3D contents to your device first, and then of course you need to connect to all of this, connect with all of the others, right? So my take is that it is fine to still work on the concept of metaverse, because even because there has to be some sort of a growth in terms of this field, and we couldn't actually wait for another 4 or 5 years to get into this, because I've seen when you compare the devices, when it comes to the hardware, right? When you compare the devices, the Oculus DK and the Oculus Quest, you can see an exponential development when it comes to the user experience of this. So I guess, of course, the network infrastructure might not be the most optimum for this, but of course we can work. We can spare this time to work on the other fields of this. So that is my idea.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Matthew, for your question. Now we're more in the discussion part. So for other people who have questions, make sure to leave them in the chat. That's no problem. Right now, I'm looking for people who are willing to come back on this question of, sorry?
In the debate. In
the debate part for which company do people think will have the biggest stronghold on the metaverse?
Okay.
Now we have
so I would like to mention again that we are lacking time. So that's why we would only let the people talk about the debate. And if you have questions, you can type on the chat, and one of the panelists may try to answer these questions to people while we are in the debate. So let's run this parallelly. And I think for the companies that are dominating is definitely Facebook, that I thank Mark Zuckerberg that he renamed his company so that this field of XR is getting lots of importance and respect nowadays, which people only used to say that, oh, it's just gaming. So I think Meta is definitely like the game changer. Microsoft was also good, but it did not market as much as Meta, I think. And the hype that Meta has created is giving peer pressure to big tech companies. That's my opinion.
Seems pretty valid. I'm more of a Google fan myself. I think they have some experience. Well, the Google glasses didn't exactly work out as they intended it to. They had some kind of intent in that way, and they have, as I said, like a lot of people using Google every day just to do their research and things like this. So they might very well be in the runners up. Is there anyone who wants to give some input on this question? What about the panelists? Do you think there is do you want to take a gander at predicting the future?
I think Meta has a good, because they started earlier, they have a good opportunity to lead in this, but once Apple also comes with their devices, that might be a very good also wide spread of their technology, which might make them also a very important player in the field, which they are right now. But yeah, so that's my guess. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, it looks like Meta currently has the upper hand, in terms of hardware infrastructure and software building and the experience, over time. But time will tell, if they're able to sustain the business model, or the likes like Apple or another company may come on board, or even a new company that we don't know of yet can come up.
I can't really agree with the the Facebook act on Metaverse, because like Facebook being Facebook, you don't own anything there, right? So I mean, we emphasize a lot in the Metaverse or Web3, the ownership of what you have is the key, right? I mean, in Web2, we emphasize Web3 because there's a transition from Web2, and Web2 is represented by Facebook, by like those giants that own all the platform. And thinking about, we create all those content on IG, on Facebook, like by our photo, sharing our stories, but we don't get anything from them. We just help them to grow, like the content platform to grow. But in Web3, I think it's an empowerment to all the creator. Just like you and me, we upload data, we contribute to growing this metaverse, and we should be benefit. So of course we have to wait and see what Matter can represent, but I mean, from the track record, I don't think you will have true ownership of what you have in the Matter. It's more like in a nutshell, is like they owning everything. Because if you look closely to the trailer of Matter, they didn't actually mention anything about ownership of like assets. They just present to you that idea of having this virtual space for you to interact with people, and like how social media can look like in the virtual space, but then they never mentioned about ownership of things. So I guess we'll wait and see.
Yeah, and of course, in addition to that, like the problem right now is that most of these companies have not figured out what actual metaverse is, right? Most of them have figured out, all right, it's a social platform that everybody can jump in VR. But my take is that it's good in a way, but it is not revolutionary because everybody can, there can be social platforms. Everybody can join into these platforms and can have conversations, and conversations which are more than like normal, like screen to screen conversations. You can obviously you can move your hand, you can read somebody and you can talk, but still what these companies are trying to do is to convert an actual experience into a virtual experience, like a complete copy of it. But what we need to do is we need to understand the capabilities that are provided by these new platforms, right? It should be the other way around. Of course, I've seen some platforms, if you want to go to a specific location, you have to walk in VR, but it is not necessary, right? It's just time consuming. So people need to, these developers need to identify different user experiences that can leverage on top of these hardware capabilities. Apart from that, the metaverse can not only be something for social networking. It can be, it can be things like such as defense, maybe healthcare, I don't know, product development, and of course, including entertainment. Like entertainment was the main niche that Meta talked about in their presentation. But I think it should be more than that. It should be this metaverse concept should be used to enhance our day-to-day activities and not just a complete flip of the actual world into a virtual world.
All right. So, we have another one, another person. Margaret, do you want to speak?
Yeah, thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm a student from PolyU, and currently I'm studying optometry. And previously, Indica has mentioned that metaverse may have relationship with healthcare. And I would like to ask all the experts here, what do you think about the future with metaverse and healthcare system? Thank you.
I think that there is a bright future in that area. I am amazed at applications like remote surgeries, for example. This is very, very useful. And also assisting medical teams, for example, when there are even remote travel situations and things like that. And specifically when doctors need a specific type of training or students, and that can put in risk maybe sometimes the tests, etc. This is one of the best applications that we've seen so far. And there are many research papers that are available right now on the internet on how to perform better applications for this field, and the early tests and results that have been taking place right now by some companies related with the healthcare who are using right now virtual reality and even augmented reality with HoloLens in order to address these type of advancements in training particularly. So to summarize, basically mostly in training right now is happening, and particularly for surgery, it's one of the most advanced situations that are being happening right now. Do you have a particular question related with your career, like optometry, and how you can use it? Is that why you asked the question, or do you want to expand more in something more particular?
Because currently I heard some of my seniors, they are in the research.
So hello, sorry to interrupt, because we are running out of time and it was supposed to be a debate. So that's why we request you to keep the questions restricted. And I think that some other people also have the questions unanswered.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Just very brief is that some of my seniors have researched about how artificial intelligence can merge with optometry, like how AI can help us to determine the refractive error of your eyeglasses. But I want to, through this debate today, I want to know more about how healthcare and metaverse can have more space to work together. Yeah.
Thank you, Margaret, for the question. I think in this debate, if you want to fit in the question, then maybe we rephrase that, that if there is any company which is doing great in metaverse and which is winning, and if they have the chance to involve artificial intelligence in optometry. So does anyone have any opinion or from audience or guest who think that any of these big companies can also play a huge role in the health sector? Sorry, no. Or the guest, as what Margaret asked, how these companies can maybe step into the health game.
Well, maybe we can go on with the rest of the discussion.
Okay, seems okay. And I remember, Margaret, that one of our guests mentioned that how AI, I think Ms. Diana had already mentioned about AI in the metaverse. So I think that is a part of the answer, but for health, maybe AI and optometry is a completely different field from the metaverse at this point, in my opinion. As a debater, I'm speaking, but maybe the experts have a different view, if experts would like to answer on that. As a debater, because I wanted to enter the discussion, so I think AI and optometry is completely different. And if you want to include optometry and AI into metaverse, then that's a whole different game. And but maybe you need to see if the market requirements are there, and if it is actually beneficial for the patients to be in the metaverse and maybe to understand about optometry. And as our guest said, to have empathy using XR in order to understand the problems. So yeah, I don't think that any big tech company may step into this, but maybe some big health company, which is not a tech company, may take a chance.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Metaverses might just become a tool, just like the internet, that's very versatile for basically anything. So just to conclude a bit on the question of what we think the leading companies will be, that we've seen that a lot of people are think that Meta will have quite a good chance there, because, well, just the early birds advantage, I guess. They came in first, they have the technologies for it, and it's great. We've also seen that for some people, Metaverse would be better if maybe Facebook wasn't the one leading it, because they don't have any talk of intellectual property of actual digital goods. And yeah, it's a very, like, we've seen Facebook basically using the user generated content as their own resource, and not giving back necessarily to the community that's provided all of this. For those of you who are not sure about the terminology, Web 2.0 refers to this era that we're currently living in, where big companies and mostly big websites centralize a lot of creator content from all of us, Instagram and Facebook, where we are the content creators, and that is the main wealth of the internet as it is right now. And we'll see, maybe, who knows, a new company will come in and take advantage of really the metaverse being such a versatile tool for the rest. We're reaching the end of our time for this workshop. If you could show the next slide, Soda.
Yeah, just a second.
So yeah, I wanted to thank you all for attending. I wanted to thank the guests for coming here and sharing your knowledge with us. It's very useful. We have a $50 Park and Shop coupon if you answer the survey at the first on the first QR code. And if you could please spend 30 seconds, it's a 5-question thing for the feedback that could help us to improve and do better workshops in the future. I think that's basically it. If you have any last questions, you can post them in the chat. And once again, thank you everyone, and thank you to the guests.
Thank you very much to the guests, especially, and again, I think it is around around 7:30 in Canada for Miss Diana. So thank you very much for
attending.
Have a good day. in a very different time zone. And and the other people may try to open their mic until that time and maybe ask their questions, because it was a debate session, so the topic was different. But I think if our expert guests, if they want to stay back and answer questions or maybe have a discussion, please feel free to. But if you want, then you may leave. There are some questions in the chats, and some people want to speak to you. So maybe if you want to stay back, then it's your choice. Otherwise, it's okay.
Oh, wait, also just before everyone leaves, can we have a quick picture of people attending so that we can post it on our very own social media, so we can be content creators too? Can I have people turning on the cameras a bit?
Let me stop sharing the screen so that I can get everyone in the frame. There are 2 pages actually, and many people have closed their cameras. Please open your cameras, people. You all should look good, please. Okay, so Solal, when you are ready, tell us to smile.
I'm waiting for maybe a bit more people to come in.
Okay, yeah. People, don't be shy.
Come on, guys. We just need one picture for a quick second.
Matthew, Margaret.
You participated. Would be very nice to have you here with us. Richard, Anthony, I've seen you've interacted and you seem to know quite a bit about metaverses. You want to come in and so that we can have a bit of a picture?
And Margaret, you had a great question today about health and metaverse, and if any big company would like to step in, we want to see you. And Zihan Liu, you had a question for the panel as well. So because your question has been answered, so you may try to open your camera.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Not sure we're going to get a lot more people, so I'll take a quick screenshot. Everyone smile.
Okay.
And that should be good. Thank you very much. And that concludes our Metaverse Workshop. I hope to see you all very soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you all.
Thank you all. For our guests, I would like to thank you again for attending and taking out the time to be with us.
I think we're good.
Yeah. Okay.
Do we need a feedback section, or else I'll just leave?
Okay, it is still live on YouTube.